A showrunner is the creative lead on a project, an animated series. It can take different forms. It's often the creator of the show, and it could be the director, or it could be the head writer. So from my point of view, I was series producer of Go Jetters at CBeebies for BBC for 2 seasons, and effectively, in American terms, as you say, it's more American. That was show running. So I look after those episodes from script through to post production and dub, seeing the story through. So you're the key lead creative across an army of people. Yes, that's what happened on something like Go Jetters. It was developed and pitched and greenlit in-house at BBC, and it wasn't my creation. But then as a series producer there, it was passed to me to then take into production with my experience and take it from there. Yeah. We tendered out the animation, and it was pitched for and competed for by animation studios. So yeah, with an example like Go Jetters, which is BBC in-house, co-produced with BBC Studios, we then we conceive of the idea, but then we shop around for the animation studio, and it's sort of the best pitch wins. I'd say I got into kids TV before I had kids, but then I stayed because maybe I'm a big kid, and I loved it as a kind of healthy. I think you have to be responsible with kids TV, with the editorial, and you have to still make it a high bar production, but you have to instill values and good messages for kids, rather than say reality TV or whatever, which I watch, but I was more interested in making something like that. And yes, I do have 2 sons who are now 10 and 13, so they were with me through the CBeebies years, but now they're like, Dad, can you do something older? So I've done a lot of preschool, but now I'm also branching out and doing older animation too. I'm proud that I think it's a fun, relatable job they want to hear about that Dad does. They look over my shoulder at the laptop if there's an animatic I'm looking at, or animation. Obviously it's interesting to them, rather than just coming home like they don't want to hear about Dad's work. So it's great for the kids from that, and also I mercilessly use them as a focus group. I test out my scripts on them. We have family table reads when I write a pilot, and I dish out characters, and they're as good as any actor. I'm biased, they're my kids, but they just get it and they're into it. So I just bounce ideas off them, and if there's you can't really find a more honest and maybe brutal at times audience of like, I don't get that gag, Dad, or that was funny. And yeah, so I just test stuff on them and enjoy it. Yeah. If there's an educational message, Go Jetters has its geography, and you are trying to teach kids some key facts, but then we made sure it was being delivered by a disco dancing unicorn. So it's not here's the lesson, kids, and here's a boring bit. You never want it to be that. You wrap it in an action adventure for 11 minutes. You still have slapstick. You still have splats and characters face planting, but it's because they're trying to save the Eiffel Tower that you've learnt is in Paris in France. So but I love the challenge of the blend. I think you're right. We never want the learning to be like too on the nose and too up front. But I also think there's still a huge place, I must say, for violent slapstick. And just, I say that with a small V for kids. But like my favourite ever show is Roadrunner. It's like Tom and Jerry I could watch all day. Those were my childhood shows. And there's still a huge place, and huge channels and streamers that want those shows have a place that are just comedy and just entertainment, as much as the ones that are going to teach you something. I'd say be ready to be humble when you start. I started as a runner and I made the T, having graduated with a degree. So that wasn't meant to rhyme, but it kind of accidentally did. I did English. I wasn't 100% sure what career I wanted to do. Then TV caught my attention and thought that looks interesting and creative. But then I entered at entry level and worked my way up. Be prepared to do that. But when you land somewhere and get that first door opened, I'd say be curious is probably the simplest way I could put it, and be politely persistent with people. So if you what I mean by that is when I was doing the day job of a researcher in my junior years on live action stuff, and in a live action studio with pop bands and researching items and prizes and competitions and fun stuff like that. If there was another team across the production office making an animation, I'd just go in my lunch hour and go chat to the producer and sort of, swallow my nerves and go and introduce myself to someone that I hadn't met across the company. And just, if they were writing scripts, I was like, how can I just hand him a script, my first one, my first sketch, my first gags, test it out? And luckily, you'll find those people, if you're just curious, who'll just go on then, I'll try Adam's first script. And then that first one becomes, fast forward 20 years, makes me sound old, to hundreds of scripts that I've now written. But you just need that first one. Everyone needs that first opportunity. So just be curious and go and ask people. Okay, so I won a shiny BAFTA, which was obviously a huge highlight. That was at Disney Channel and wasn't for script writing. So that's how zigzaggy career can be, and sort of tangential, that I was doing red button interactive stuff at Disney Channel, and I was one of 3 on the team for that, and we made the first kids, like, you could vote with your remote control, and this back in early 2000s, so it was quite cutting edge, that you could pull together mobile voting and your remote and everything together, and it was like X Factor sort of style show. And you could go behind the scenes through the red button and stuff. So it was quite groundbreaking, and we won the BAFTA for that. And that was huge to just step up and take one of those home as a very shiny paperweight. So that was brilliant. Other highlights are it's just working with great people, without that sounding too schmaltzy, but it's like when you meet talent and be that behind the voiceover mic, when your script comes alive with voice talent, or working with presenters, like you mentioned, Justin Fletcher at CBeebies, and I wrote on Giggle Biz, and I pitched and came up with a couple of characters for him because I was good friends with him and built up a good relationship with him, and so pitched a couple of new characters and was like the only writer, because most of the characters, they're all his, and so there are a couple of additions that I added, and it's just, getting your material, I think, is why I'm in the game of kind of then talented people build on my script and make it even better and perform it better or animate it better, and you just give them that grounding. So that's constantly a highlight too. I think these sort of things, Confetti Weeks and the Industry Week is great for it's a pleasure to be invited, and it's nice I was that student, and it only seems like yesterday, although it's quite a few years ago now, but to give advice back and to talk to the students and also see their work and be impressed by their work and that raw talent coming through. Who are the next writers? Who are the couple of friends who are going to leave and form a studio and it become huge for UK animation? Who knows? So I think it impresses me to meet the potential talent that's in the audience. I must say, Confetti have been fantastically welcoming. You're not paying me to say this, but you make it easy to come along and get involved. So it's just nice to give something back, because I've been that undergraduate who's just wanted to soak stuff up and take stuff in. Oh, I might need to think about this now. Parting shot. Well, part of my talk, the end of my talk, without talking about it too much now, is maybe pitching, and I'd say, start practicing pitching as soon as possible, but not just ideas for shows, about pitching yourself as you're about to take foot out from college into the industry. Pitching yourself, pitching whether it's a shot, an idea, a script, back of a napkin thought, or striding up to people and just get your elevator pitch of who are you as a tagline, as a single line, that you can walk up confidently and hand your reel to someone and get your first door open in the industry.